Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Prostate Cancer Foundation Young Investigator Forum. I am Howard Soule, the Executive Vice President and Chief Science Officer of the Prostate Cancer Foundation.
And hi, everyone. I'm Andrea Miyahira, Director of Global Research and Scientific Communications at the Prostate Cancer Foundation.
PCF's Young Investigator program was formalized in 2007 for the purpose of supporting early career investigators, demonstrating the greatest potential for an impactful long-term academic career in prostate cancer basic, translational, and clinical science. PCF provides much more than 3 years of financial support. We offer a series of global knowledge exchanges, mentorship, networking opportunities, and leadership programs, really a fully comprehensive program to support the career development of our young investigators. The competitive and comprehensive program has been largely successful, with greater than 4,000 publications coming from our awardees and over 600 million in funding leverage attributable to our people. Furthermore, many of our young investigators have gone on to become recognized leaders in the field, publishing field-forwarding cutting-edge research, developing new treatments, improving patient outcomes, and have become heads of departments and programs at their own institutions as well as international research organizations. Between 2007 and 2020, PCF has funded 314 young investigators. While we have not yet announced our complete class of 2021 young investigators, we are anticipating funding as many as 20 by the end of this year.
The PCF Young Investigator Forum is a special day that focuses on issues relevant to early career investigators and has been held every year in conjunction with the annual PCF Scientific Retreat. This year, with this virtual platform, we're able to open this program up to any and all who are interested in attending so that this program can have a far greater impact on young investigators all over the world. We are so excited to see so many joining us today. The agenda for today's forum includes a career talk from Dr. Amina Zoubeidi, a panel discussion on science careers in the age of the pandemic and Zoom, a panel on where clinical trials come from, and an update on the PCF1 virtual mentoring initiative. For 2015 to 2021 PCF Young Investigators, the day will close with a virtual speed networking session. We hope that you find this program valuable and informative. Please ask questions as we go throughout the day, as we hope to have all of your engagement and commentary during the live discussions. Thank you all again for joining us today.
Our first speaker of the day is Dr. Amina Zoubeidi, a 2010 PCF Young Investigator who has become a leader in the field of prostate cancer research. Amina's research focuses on AR signaling biology, mechanisms of resistance to AR-targeted therapies, lineage plasticity, and the development of neuroendocrine prostate cancer. She has been responsible for the development of novel therapeutics for very advanced treatment-resistant and plastic states of prostate cancer. Dr. Zoubeidi is a professor and Canada Research Chair Tier 1 in cancer therapy resistance at the University of British Columbia and the Vancouver Prostate Center. Originally from Morocco, Amina obtained her PhD from the University of Montreal. It's quite amazing to me that a woman speaking Arabic comes to Montreal, speaks French, and then moves on to Vancouver, where she speaks English. English as the third language is only one cultural barrier that Amina has successfully gotten past to become the awesome scientist that she is today. Over the course of her career, Dr. Zoubeidi has published over 100 high-impact peer-reviewed papers, won numerous awards, including the Outstanding Achievement Award, Faculty of Medicine from the University of British Columbia, and the Canada Research Chair Tier 1, the highest research chair in all of academia in Canada. She has received from the Canadian government over 16 million in United States equivalents in research funding support. She has been a recipient of numerous awards from PCF. In addition to her Young Investigator Award, she has won Creativity Award support as well as Challenge Award support. Because of Dr. Zoubeidi's incredibly inspiring career journey and exceptional prostate cancer research program, we have invited her to share her experience at these PCF Young Investigator Forum. The title of her talk is Things I Learned During My Scientific Journey. Amina, welcome, and we are so incredibly proud of your achievements.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Howard, for the invitation. It is a great pleasure for me to be here today with you, specifically as a young investigator, something that's idea really in my heart. I just want to tell you to every young investigator, you can believe the opportunity that you have today to be among the brightest, but also the friend that you're going to become with you, this young investigator. Because of PCF, because of having the award of young investigator, give me this opportunity to grow and to become who I am today. As Howard said, I come from somewhere else, from far away, and we're going to talk about a journey. Howard said a lot about my achievements, but those achievements didn't come out just like that and easy. Everything comes with a challenge, but we always have to take those challenges and move forward. I'm going to give you just a brief from what I am to know how I did what I did during my scientific and having with different tradition and different background, how we can do things despite those challenges. If I start looking, I look, for instance, I am from Morocco, and Morocco is in Africa, in North Africa. I'm not like Arab, but from Africa, not from the Middle East. Is a very specific. It's a place where a lot of culture came to, and different dynasty, making this country very, very specific in the culture. But more importantly, it's called by the Arab, the West. If you translate Morocco in Arabic, is the West, because we are the West. Completely, we are different than people from the East, and that makes this country very enriched with different things. But not only that, we can see is a cross for different culture and different tradition. And I was born in a city called Saleh, which is the north shore of Rabat, the capital of Morocco. In this city is something very interesting about it. It was founded in 1030 and was a heaven for pirates in the 17th century. And that also affected, the people in this city. And being somehow that they don't take things as granted, they are looking for more things, they are looking for challenges. It was an independent republic, and a small town or city can become an independence. And before being incorporated to the current Moroccan dynasty, by all that cultural thing, historical things, making the people from this city different. That said, that is also about me, because the fact that I've been raised to be a housewife rather than a scientist that can go and take the challenge or look that's to go to North America and look for things that they are different. When I was in Morocco, I didn't know who I want to be, but it was something driving me from inside. There is something out there. The only thing that I want at this moment, I want to go, I want to study. It's not about looking to the world, but just going and making a difference and learning. It was this burning thing inside of me during all my studies, because I received my bachelor degree from Morocco. It is what is out there. I was feeling that what I had as an education was not enough. And that's what's driving me in not just being in North America, is not just looking to the world, but it was more about having higher education. I have to acknowledge that I'm the first woman in my family to have a university degree. And from there, it was like a boom de neige. I'm very proud to say that I inspired a lot of other girls in my family, cousins that today are doctors, lawyers, and also professors at the university. But when I left Morocco to go to Montreal to go to my grad school, I left Morocco and it was a really nice day. And the problem is I left Morocco in January. And we know what is in January in Montreal. January in Montreal is snow, cold. We're talking about really cold compared where I am. I never seen the snow. I never seen the cold. I never felt the cold like that. And that's a journey, that was my first challenge. You can be very surprised that we can consider that moving and the heat can be a challenge, but what was a challenge for me? Because it took me time to adapt, took me time to digest that you can live somewhere and it is very cold. And someone asked the question, why you moved to Montreal? I moved to Montreal because I was at the university educated in French. And for me, Montreal, it is as great universities, but also I can study in French because studying in English was not part of my curriculum. I didn't study English. I'm going to grad school. I'm going to do it in French. And here, a great opportunity to do that. And after I graduated with my PhD, I did a master and a PhD. We can talk about that in the next slide. I moved to Vancouver. And again, when I moved to Vancouver, I moved in January. I have these things with January to move. And again, live in Montreal with really cold weather to drive to the beautiful Vancouver, where the weather is very mild, and Vancouver is the west coast of Canada and parts of the Northwest. And when we look to all that, this is beautiful picture going from beautiful city to another beautiful city, learning different culture, different languages. But again, like I said, the challenge was clearly the temperature, because when I moved from Morocco, I left 64 degrees Celsius, 64 degrees Fahrenheit, and I arrived to Montreal, -4. And when I went to Vancouver, it was 50. I still remember the day that I arrived there and I was walking, I didn't have gloves. I was calling my friend. I said, you can't believe not all Canada is cold. There is a city in Canada that is not cold. You might find that not interesting, but it was having a good impact on me and appreciating and also discovering what is mean cold, what is mean heat, what is mean being mild, and that somehow shape us. We know the effects of the heat, even for example, in plants and everything, how this can shape even our environments when we think about the nature. And when we think about it, yes, the heat or the temperature shaped me with who I am today too. And it was very important to know how we can adapt. And because with all what we do in our field is how we can adapt. And adaptation comes when you move from when you are a star postdoc and you become an assistant professor and you start from the lower, and you have to adapt that, and you have to have all what you need to adapt to going from a start to starting from the low level and starting creating your lab and bringing your team together and adapting to all what you have to do by yourself. Temperature is just an analogy of adaptation of what I went through rather than just something related to the weather. Like Howard said that I graduated, he just again to iterate what Howard said, I had a bachelor's degree from University Mohammed V from Rabat, Morocco, and it was a bachelor in science. And I went to Montreal. I was not doing cancer. I had a master in plant science from University du Québec à Montréal. And And one day, one of my friends she told me, can you come with me? I'm going to this workshop. And I went with her, and it was at the end of my master. I was supposed to go back to Morocco because this was the deal with my parents. Just please let me go. I promised you I would go for 2 years. I will be back. And when I went to this workshop, it was all talks about cancer. And it's just something I said, that's what I want to do in my life. And the challenge comes to, because I have to find a supervisor. But the most important thing is not about finding a supervisor and changing the field, was going back to my parents and convincing them to let me stay. And that was the biggest challenge. I remember clearly it was the summer, and I went and I begged my parents. And I was telling them, I can come back. I can come back and stay here for 3 years, 4 years, and I will be just looking for a job. Can you please let me go back and I can go and do a PhD? And you can't believe the number of conversations repeating myself and asking them that I want to go. And as you know, as international student, the fees are really high, and I had to convince them, I'm going to get now, I have a master, I'm going to get scholarship, I'm going to do that. And I was very lucky that they allowed me. They told me, okay, you go, but you promise us you're going to come back. I went, and I was very lucky. I had a supervisor. I met this wonderful woman, who was my PhD supervisor, and we're still in contact. We talk, often together about everything, about life, about science. And she hosts me in her lab. And from then she was doing prostate cancer. And from there, my journey with prostate cancer started. And it was the best thing I did in my life, that I convinced my parents. And I'm very lucky that they allowed me to go back to Montreal. They allowed me to go and do my PhD. And with this mentor that I had was a woman that I could see myself on her. She could understand me. We could talk about everything. Because she was doing, we were so close that I was on her way, and she should drive me home every day from the lab to home. We developed this relationship that today is still a very successful relationship between a mentor and a mentee. And when I finished my PhD, it was the time to move and to do a postdoc. And at that time, the Vancouver Prostate Cancer was a leading and still leading center on prostate cancer research. And I went and I did my postdoc with Martin Gleave, who discovered translational research, and learn also about how we can ask a clinical question and how we can answer to them, basic scientists. And however, all those things I talked about, different challenges, but not challenges about talking to my parents, but I had another challenge. It was a very interesting challenge. When I moved to Montreal, I'm very proud of myself, the top of my class, going to university in French speaking. I'm going to be studying, having my courses in French. But when I started doing research, my first week or two, I was hit that everything about literature is English. And I started reading, and I went and I bought, a dictionary that I can have it with me even on the subway, and look into every word and reading my papers. And I was doing plant science, and this struck me. I spent a day looking for this word because I was reading about how stress affects the plant resistance to stress, doesn't matter if it's heat or cold, and reading that and taking notes and very excited, looking to almost every word in the dictionary. It was this word that I want to share with you. I spent almost 24 hours at trying to understand what is kidney bean, because this paper was about kidney beans. And I was looking to kidney, I was looking to beans. And I said, what they are doing this one? Why we are together? This is a paper about plant science, what the kidney is doing. I couldn't figure out for 24 hours what is mean a kidney bean. This is what that today I think about it. And I think about it every day. when I looked at a word that it is a very sophisticated word in English, I said, I hope that I will not do the mistakes of kidney beans, because that was the biggest challenge ever for me, because it's a two word, it's not one word. It was striking, and that took me a lot of time, I have to say, just as ridiculous as that. And okay, now it's good. I did my PhD, I did presentation, I went to the ACR multiple times, presenting my posters, speaking to people, thinking that I'm good in English. You know, I'm going to do a fellowship, which is fantastic, and I can present confidence. You know, the first thing you do when you move to a new place, you get your internet, which is very important. And I called, trying to get internet in my apartment, talking confident. After 2 minutes, the guy in the other line told me, do you speak French? Because I don't understand what you're saying. Imagine, I couldn't even articulate that I want internet and I want this and that as simply when I arrived to do my postdoc 15 years ago. And it just killed me. I said, what I need to do now that I can even communicate with somebody, that I can have internet at home. That said, that's perhaps the thing they are not, and we talk a lot of other really, you know, challenges, but challenges could be as small or as big. And sometimes even communicating your idea to somebody very simply cannot. And I still have this problem, you know, sometimes I say things and people say, what are you saying? I still remember one day I was in a meeting with the dean, and by coincidence, I didn't even know, I arrived there and my husband went there, and I sat next to him. And at one moment I was talking to the dean about this idea, and you know, we're going to do this, and the dean was looking at me, you know, now I have this tactic, I can look at two people, I can see the ground, and they can't understand me. I just turned to my husband, I told him, can you please translate? And that comes to the fact. And the dean started looking at me, and he said, yeah, I have that every day at home. Then I said that small challenges like that makes us better. And now when we develop techniques, you know, watching movies, reading books beside the science, because science is all about sometimes increase, decrease, you know, things come, you know, impatient or not, but conversation and articulating your idea, writing them in the right way, putting your right hypothesis that people can understand it is necessary. And that was some challenges that I faced. It's maybe not common for all of you, but just want to say, talking about them in a way, we should have perspective about all our challenges, and we should not amplify them to ourselves. And those challenges just going to make us better and going to push us to do our best. You know, speaking a third language without going to school and learning it just on the fly, yes, not the best thing, but something that we can do, and we can be successful with it. You just said, I'm going to be better. I'm just going to keep going and doing it. Please don't let any challenge block you. Just move forward. It can be small or big. We can go through them, and we can just like anecdotal or jokes that we can talk about them. Be positive, look forward. This is very important. It can be science, can be language, can be culture, can be even hits, you know. Sometimes maybe you're going to be in Southern California and you're going to have a job in Midwest and it is cold, but don't let those things stopping you for where you want to be. I think that Howard did a fantastic, you know, introduction, and thank you so much for that, Howard. That for my introduction and my trajectory. I just want to say this here. I was appointed, I did a postdoc, and in 2009 I was appointed as an assistant professor at University of British Columbia. I stayed at the same place. Okay, when staying at the same place come with good things and challenging things. We're not going to say they are bad things. Good things, that this idea about, you know, the place, you know what everything is. You can set your lab faster than moving to another place because there's some infrastructure already there. You know, every person's secretaries, people that they are purchasing, you know, is is way easier to set up your lab. However, the challenge with it, that for longest time, people would just think that you set up postdoc. Doesn't matter is your boss, doesn't matter a colleagues, even a secretary. And that will take a little bit of time that they can adapt to it. And maybe they will not adapt to it as fast, but slowly. Don't get so stuck on that. It will come, because I was frustrated. Now I'm a faculty, what they're thinking about me, but it's okay. And if I had somebody to tell me, just no, don't even take that personal. Just move forward. Focus what is important. Focus that you have papers to publish. Focus that you have to write a grant and to get them, rather than the other thing. It just can have advantage, can have disadvantage, can have other disadvantage, how you can dissociate yourself from your former mentor, for your postdoc mentor. And that is going to be something very critical and sometimes very delicate. And that is up to you and your mentor to discuss it in an open forum. That what you have now, what you're doing, you can still collaborate. You can do things, but you have to dissociate yourself. Dissociation doesn't come from completely not doing the same thing or the same topic, but just this project that are yours is going to be, if you're going to stay in the same institution. This is critical. Perhaps after that, you're in the same institution, and later on, you can move on to another one, no problem. But just, it's not about being careful. Don't take things too personal, because that can block you from moving forward, but also can block you. That also can create certain problems with your mentor, because your mentor, no matter what, is very important. Even your previous mentor also is very, very important for your career. Keep that. Like I said one time at the PCFYI, you have to be loyal to your mentor. Your mentor did a lot for you, and you have to be loyal to them, because you spent the time on their laboratory. They gives you opportunity, and they give you opportunity because you're smart and bright, and that is important because they recognize that. It just be loyal, but dissociate yourself from their project, that you can apply, that you don't not to be penalized, that where your program is the same as your mentor. If you stay, if you move, those problems, they don't occur a lot, and you can build. You know, as you hear in this call, I was fortunate, and I have to say, we can talk it lucky, but it is a privilege for me to receive the 2010 the PCFYI, as Howard mentioned. This PCFYI was the first, award that I received. Totally changed my life. Changed my life in the fact that I was always looking forward to go back to PCF retreat, but I was working very hard to have new data, to achieve better, to have grants, to have papers, because with the senior were always telling me, asking me, what is new in your research? And I was really intimidated by this question the first time. The second, which is when I was there, I was all prepared. I remember before I went, I had my list. I was prepared to talk about what I did during the year. I was so proud of myself. But what I found being in the community, PCF community, have that, looking forward to it, but also you want to show that you're doing well. And that is a motivation rather than a pressure. Don't take those things as a pressure, take them as a motivation for you to move forward, to be better. The other thing about being a PCFYI, it is an amazing opportunity to also networking, as Howard said in the introduction, and also as Andrea said, it is take advantage of every moment that you have now with your crew YIs, because you're going to be the next leaders. And this relationship is very important. You're going to learn so much. You're going to collaborate with them. My best friend are PCFYs, and that those people that I am today with, and I spend time with, and I work with. This is an opportunity for everybody to grow, to grow a network and also to develop personal relationship. In 2014, I was promoted to associate professor. In 2019 to full professor. You can see here a trajectory that we have to do. We can go like stepwise. I became director of VCHRI, vice chair of research council at the Vancouver Prostate Center, and part of the executive. You can see that those things, they don't come out in one shot. Everything comes slowly. I could suffer from the fact that I stayed from the same institution. You can stay in the same institution and you can work your way up, but you have to become good at what you do, and things will come together with the time. I think that's what you see here is just an example. I'm not the only one. I had opportunities to leave, and we can discuss that later and why I didn't leave my institution. I was about to leave, and I stayed. And when I stayed at the beginning, I thought this maybe is not the best decision. Maybe this is at the end of my career, but things come out after that they were very positive. And I'm glad today to say I stayed and I'm happy now. I'm happy today when me and my husband made the final decision that we're going to stay, because when you want to leave, it is not a decision by yourself. At this moment, that I knew that I'm not the only one who has to make a decision about leaving or staying. The decision about leaving has to be made together in your family, and you are not the only one who the career is the most important. And that is very important when you're considering leaving and relocating to another place. Howard also talks about my awards, and I'm going to go just briefly. Like I said, I was just received selected for Canada Chair, and Canada Chair, I have a Canada Chair in cancer therapy resistance. It is the highest government chair across all disciplines. You are competing with philosophy, engineering, and literature, and not only about in medicine. And Howard also, talk about my accolade about Distinguishing Achievement Award, Challenge Award. I also had New Investigator Award. I'm also Michael Smith Foundation Scholar. But one of the things that it is very dear to me is the Teaching Award. This one is about the mentor. And this is a one part of me that I hold really at high level, is really training the next generation of scientists and working with them, and they can go to academia or to industry. This is up to them. But I love mentoring. I love having students and the postdocs. And it is not about having them. I think it's more about sitting down with them, talking about their career, giving them tips, putting them on the podium. Even early in my career, suggesting them to give talks, involving them in every conversation, with collaborators, is because this thing is not only about you. The success of your trainees is also your success. And that thing that you have, I know it's very difficult at the beginning to do that, but be open. You are not competing. You are forming the next generation. They are loyal or not, it's fine. Do what you have to do, because in our field, you cannot be just one. You cannot just be only a researcher. You need to be a teacher and form the next generation of scientists. My trainees received multiple awards, including I had 3 that received the PCFYI. I'm not going to go about what Howard said about publishing, but in general, a career can be summarized with your achievement, with your promotion, but important with your grants, but importantly with your trainees, where they are, how successful they are, and what they are doing right now. Faculty, I have some of them, they're faculty that one of them is getting, applying for associate professor, another one start a lab, and having students and grants, and we still communicate together. They still ask questions about, how do you think I should hire this person? What do you think I should do? And it's so interesting to see that and see them becoming who they are right now. But if I have to tell you something that I I don't know, suffers from it, but I have to tell you, be your own champion. At one moment, especially when you start your career, there is nobody to do that for you. Nobody is this important that you believe in yourself and your intellectual abilities, especially as early, because we hit so many obstacles. You have to believe in yourself. Recognize your strength. Know what you're capable of doing, of things that you are not able to do, and you don't have that, you're not an expert at. You are in the best environment. You are at PCF. Reach out to other people. Talk to her or talk to Andrea. They can connect you with other people. Recognize your strength in a way where you can bring to others, and how you can go and talk with other people that you can create collaboration. Importantly, admit your weaknesses, at least to yourself. You have to, because this is important. If you are not a genomic person and you have a project and you have an aim on genomics, just go and talk to another person. This is important. The other thing is, don't let the imposter syndrome affect your self-confidence. We all go through it. I still go through it today. But this imposter syndrome, just remember your achievement. This is very important, because that can affect, I think it affects all of us, but us as a woman in science or women in medicine, we suffer perhaps from it because we articulate it and we hear it, we hear our voice saying about this imposter syndrome. I have to say that every time I receive an award or I receive a grant, I'm happy for 10 seconds, and I have to say, I really deserve that? Oh my God, I can't believe it. And so don't let that happen. Just move forward and look for the future. Learn when to say no, but also learn when to say yes. Learn when to say no. It is important, because you don't want to be so busy with 10, study section and too many service at the university when you just start. You don't want to have to be, when you just start your career, I don't know, here an example, being in the committee, certain committee, like the ethic committee, that the meeting, for example, is on Monday, and you spend your weekend reviewing those files. No, you can't say no. Oh, this is a great opportunity. However, for the time being, I can't. Just please consider me for the next one. A simple email will save you not question from a lot of work to distract you from what is essential when you start your lab. And that is very important. But also learn how to say yes. Sometimes there is opportunity. Sometimes there is something outside of your comfort zone, and you don't know about it. Maybe we'll learn so much. And for those 1 year, say yes. It's very important. You have to know that a career is a stepwise. We saw it, that you're gonna go through, assistant professor, associate professor and professor. You cannot just say, I'm the smartest, I deserve to have become a professor in 4 or 5 years. Now, career is a stepwise process, and we have no choice to really follow the process. And the process is fair, really fair and clear. Do everything depending on your institution. Look for requirements, work toward it, be ready for every step in your career. Keep in mind, big achievements, they don't come easy, they come with time. And it is just a question of time. When you start your lab, the big achievement will not happen. Sometimes will happen because you had a story that you were working on it, you're in your postdoc, and you have the opportunity, or your mentor allow you to take this part and you can publish a big paper. But for the majority, the big achievements come with time. Resist the temptation of petty jealousy among your colleagues. Be nice. And keep in mind that the cream rises to the top. You will do it. It's just a question of time. Remember that science is a puzzle, and we fit the pieces together. Putting the pieces together advances our knowledge. With that, you have to avoid thinking that you are the smartest in the room. If you think that you are the smartest in the room, this is not the room for you. You gotta move to another room. And this is important, specifically when we just start your career. Like I said, science is a puzzle. Every little research can be in a small journal or a big journal is important for this puzzle of understanding a big question. We cannot answer to the biggest question. We all put different things to answer to it by different approaches, by different vision. Avoid also thinking that your research is the more relevant than others. Again, it just reiterate that be humble. It is critical in our field. People around us are very smart and we learn from each other, and every day we learn from somebody. Be kind to yourself. Don't compare your journey to others. No, every journey is different. I just talked at the beginning about my journey, about the heat, about the language barrier, and achieving, becoming today a professor or a Canada research chair. Another person will have it a different way. Everybody has own journey, and the journey is different. And you are the master of your journey. You write your journey, and the environment helps you to write it. Just do it. And with doing that, be kind to yourself, because don't beat up, because we beat up ourselves more than anybody beats up. Just remember, be kind to yourself. Others' achievements look easy from outside, but people, they work very hard for them, and we don't see that. We don't see the hours that they put on them. Please celebrate every achievement. It can be small or big. We always forgot about the small one. The small one is also important as the big one. Can be a small grant, can be a paper. I'm not going to say it's the same energy, but it's the same process that you go through. Even a small achievement for your student, having, a small grant or a small scholarship, celebrate them. You're going to feel good about yourself, and also going to help you to overcome the imposter syndrome. We don't do that, and nobody going to celebrate you. Celebrate yourself. That comes from be kind to yourself, because as a type A personality in our field, we start to beating ourselves, but sometimes so much. Don't do that. Networking. I think that science is less than 6 degrees of separation. We know this person, but we can look at it to science. I work on this protein, and this person goes on this protein, and this person won a Nobel Prize working on this protein, for example, or this concept. We are linked to each other very, very much. We know about each other more than we know about anybody, because we read your paper, you read our paper, we review your grants, we review your papers. We know each other. And the fact that we know each other, we have also to make it. Talk to people, make it personal. Every time you go to a conference, get out of your shell, talk to new people in conferences. Sometimes you will learn more about things when you meet new people, new perspective. This is essential for your networking, for increasing, learning about science, learning about new concepts. And it is an amazing thing. Even at the personal level is very good. Develop relationships beyond science. Social interaction greatly influence collaboration, because you gotta trust those people. You cannot collaborate with somebody that you don't trust. This is essential. I have beautiful experiences in relationship that lead to collaboration, or collaboration that led to friendship. This is essential, and please do it. You are in the right environment. You are PCFYI. This is perfect environment to do that. And we know each other by papers. Just move forward and do it a little bit personal. Choose the right mentor or mentors. And it was very interesting for me to go and look, what is a mentor? Mentor, when you go to dictionary or Wikipedia, mentor is a friend of Odysseus that's entrusted with the education of his son. You can see here that somebody trusted a friend to educate his own son, which is quite big. That's what it means, a mentor. A mentor is an experienced and a trusted advisor. He's able to give you honest advice, telling you what you're doing is right or not. It doesn't matter about you can be like help your behavior, review your grant, even your CV, papers, give you the right advice. You can have multiple mentors. You don't need to have one mentor that your department, or your faculty decided for you. You can have as many as you want because everyone gonna enrich you. Even seek for mentor outside of your institution. Seek for mentor for career advice. Seek for mentor for life, for balance. Be open, contact them. When you decide that this is my mentor, you have to contact them often, you have to talk to them. Your mentor doesn't need to be your collaborator. And sometimes it should not be, because perhaps when you have a collaborator will not give you honest advice, he will talk to you about science rather than other things. And you just expand that. Can be, but can be one of them. And you expand the number of your mentor is very important. Have a role model. Your role model doesn't need to be a scientist. It can be an athlete, it can be an Olympian. It's just people, they have perseverance, they have hard work, they're achieving a lot. They go from, what I want to say, they go for difficult time, doubting about themselves, but they achieve. And a role model, like I said, not necessarily has to be a Nobel laureate or a scientist who achieved a lot. It can be anybody in your environment that you can inspire to, that can relate to in your journey as a scientist. And one of the most important things here is recovering. You gotta learn how to recover from rejection. And I see the rejection. It is the 5 stages of grief by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And she's a psychiatrist, she's a Swiss American. And this 5 stages of grief is related to the death. We're not here talking about death. We're here just talking about rejection from papers, rejection for award, rejection for grants. And we go to this 5 stages: the denial, bargaining, anger, depression, and acceptance. And this is important, that those 5 stages of grief has to be in a short period, maximum 48 hours, that you go through those 5 stages. And let me tell you a little bit about them in those 5 stages. The denial, the moment that we receive a rejection, that obviously they missed the point of my paper and my application, I'm denying that. It's impossible, it's going to happen. That's my paper gets rejected. They don't know anything. Get to this anger. The rejection must be politically motivated. The reviewer are trying to suppress my work. Go through that. And we all go through that. So maybe we don't articulate them, but they are in our head, the little voice in our head telling us that. And we start bargaining. I'm going to contact the editor-in-chief. I'm going to convince them that this work deserves a second consideration when it is fully rejected. I even had sit down with the editor and talk to them about that, because this is the bargaining part. Also, we go what we call here depression, and not really depression. This is my best work and it was rejected. Maybe I should get into another line of work. All that effort that I have felt, this is like kind of, I can't even believe it, and you're down and that. And after it is an acceptance. I think I can make this paper or this application better with some experiment, with rewriting it. I can send it to another journal. I can rewrite it and submit it like I said to another journal agency. And yes, I can do it. And please, this things has to be like within the 24 to 48 hours. Otherwise, it's become like a saga of this trying to go through that and again, because it's painful, and we have to move forward, and we have to do things that they are very important for us, because just sitting there and not knowing what's going on is not going to help us by any means. And finally, that is spend quality time with every day with your loved one, because we are busy doing so many things. Avoid talking, if you can, about your work at dinner table. Celebrate your partner and be supportive. You will get the same treatment. Don't expect from them to do things. You have to do things. Please hire help. Do everything to hire help, because don't waste your time cleaning or doing other chores on the weekend when you have to spend time with your family. This is essential. Consider inviting your partner to join you when traveling. Person gonna appreciate, but also gonna discover your world, and the person might like it. Because when you do that, you may lose your partner to your friend, or might lose your friend to your partner. And thank you very much for the opportunity and for the privilege to be with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Amina. I do believe we are live now. It's great to see you. What an incredibly inspirational journey you've had. Andrea and myself and several hundred people watching this all over the world are really inspired by, forget about what you've overcome, what you've achieved. It's just so fantastic. I think our time for Q&A is somewhat limited, Andrea. So I'd like to start with the first question, which is actually a pretty interesting one that came in from Dr. Leanne Burnham at the City of Hope, who recently received the PCF Young Investigator Award. She would like to know which transition was the most complicated for you, when you were first named as an assistant professor, or associate professor, or a full professor?
I think that the biggest transition and the most challenging is moving to assistant professor. It is building your lab, building your program. That was the most challenging. I think it's the most challenging for one reason. The first reason, you have to do many things in the same time, in a way to build your program, hire people, adapt to do new things, but also the feeling of being the best and now starting from the bottom. I think that we don't recognize that. And when you're a postdoc, everybody, you are all over, people you're interviewing, you are a star. And when you start as an assistant professor, you start from the bottom. And you have to recognize it's just a stepwise. You have to recognize this is not something that's good, because there where it is difficult. So I get this position, I'm not good at it. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to move forward. Think about it like you're renovating a house or renovating a room, and you have to put the pieces together, and will take a little bit of time to become beautiful. Do it, be patient, and gonna come together. And please, 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 gonna come together. Don't be discouraged.
Awesome. Andrea?
Thank you, Amina. Yeah, thank you, Amina. You're so inspiring. I just want to say that you radiate positivity and passion for science, and that's been apparent to me since the first moment I met you. So I'm just so proud to know you. Our next question is from Mohammed Al-Yamani. He asks, how does staying in the Institute have affected your grant submission? Reviewers often like to see that postdocs move to new institutes away from their mentor.
Well, I have to say, the first grant I received, that was the comments from the reviewers, that you are continuing in the same subject, and this doesn't show independence. What I can tell you, you are a scientist. You learn so much during your journey as a scientist to move to the next step in your career. You're able to look and to develop new projects that can separate you from your mentor. What you learn with your mentor, but don't forget his program, it is his program. Despite that, you give so much and you develop new things. Take this little thing that can have a little bit of separation, because you cannot get the separation right away from your mentor. That's going to be a little bit unique to you, not fully unique with your first perhaps submission, but has a separation, and from there you're going to start growing your program.
Yes, I've been, the further answer to that is the history of your science, Amina. I mean, we can be more specific with this crowd. When we first met, you were working on heat shock proteins, and you made incredible contributions, translated a drug. You did a lot. And that morphed into enzalutamide resistance, which morphed into, stemness and plasticity, and yet another target and drug. So although you've stayed at UBC, which, by the way, for people that don't know, is one of the top rated universities in the world, you'd have to go a long way to find a better university than the University of British Columbia. But having said that, you constantly, updated and recharged and refreshed, and it's all relevant. And so congratulations, big time.
I just want to say something. Let the data speak to themselves. Follow the data, not a hypothesis or an idea that you were following. That's what I learned during my journey. That's what I learned. And I didn't decide to do this or that or that. I was just looking to understand, and that gets me. The other thing, when you're comfortable in your skin, hire people with different expertises. Don't be intimidated by people with different expertise. They will enrich your program. They may open new avenue for you, and that is wonderful. Perhaps you don't feel doing that as early as an assistant professor, but do it and follow the data, not an idea. An idea sometimes don't get married to your hypothesis or your idea. Let the data speak.
Thank you, Amina. We have a question from Zayad Nassar. They ask, what percentage of your time should be dedicated for writing grant fellowship applications during your early career stages?
First of all, you cannot have a lab and independent career without a grant. You can't do that. You cannot hire people. The startup fund will help you, but it is necessary. We live to write grants and to write paper. We are basic scientists. The clinician, they have to see patient and they have to do that. It's just a part of the job. It is very important. Don't take it as a burden, but that's what we do. And don't think that writing grants or a word is a big deal, but that is a part of the job. It's every day. That's what it is every day. And the moment that you can move from it as a burden or a challenge, you're gonna start being good at it.
Great.
And how did you, I think we have time for one more question. So one came in the chat. How did you build collaboration at the early stages of your career?
You are in the best environment, PCF. I have to say, you have the best and the brightest in the world, and without any doubts is in PCF. And any collaboration, you have a platform, you have Andrea, you have Howard to help you connect to those people if you don't respond to your email. You are in the right place for our collaboration. That is hands down. I want to say you are privileged to be here, and that is enough for any collaboration you want to do, and you will do it because you are a PCFY. The other thing, being a PCFY will help you so much getting a faculty position or any job too. I think you are being selected. You are the best of the best. And with the support of the foundation, you'll be very surprised how your life is going to change, your career.
Right. Well, all of our lives have changed for the better in knowing you, Amina. Thank you for this inspirational talk today. We're so happy to have you in the family, and almost 200 other people that have tuned in from around the world to hear from you today. So we have to move to our next session. So we say thank you very much. We wish you the best, and look forward to your continued growth and trajectory.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Amina. Thanks, everyone.